Hi guys, Colin here, and this is the second video on stringing guitars. This time it's going to be this Squire Bullet, and this has got a fixed bridge and no locking nut, so this is going to be a very simple guitar to restring. So I'm going to get right to it. First thing I'm going to do is take off all of the strings. So a big question from people starting out on guitar is, when should they change their strings? And the answer to that is when they get dull. I'm running my finger under the bottom of this string here and I can feel that it's really grimy and it's really dirty and there's bits of dirt coming off of it. So this is a time to change the strings, when it's manky. You can prolong the life of your strings by wiping them down with a cloth after you've finished playing, and that will take any sweat off the strings and stop them corroding up so badly and getting filthy. So they'll last a bit longer that way. Also, strings that have been on the guitar for too long will stop tuning so well. You'll find that they won't stay in tune, and that's another opportunity to change your strings. So once you've got one of the strings off, you want to pull it back through here. The best thing to do is take your clips and cut off that curly bit on the end of the string, just to save yourself having to try and fish that through the bridge, and then it will just pull straight out. When you're cutting off these coiled ends, always hold the coil end and then cut, and that way this doesn't spring off somewhere and then you step on it later and hurt yourself. Now that you've got all the strings off the guitar, this is the perfect time to check to make sure if anything is loose. Things that are loose could include strap buttons, but mine are tight at the moment, so always check those. You might want to check the jack socket, and in this case this one is turning quite a bit, so that's loose. I'll have to go in and replace that. And I know for a fact that that kill switch came loose during the last couple of practices, and this pickup's maybe a bit loose. So you want to do that when all the strings are off, because obviously if you've got a scratch plate, you're going to have to take the scratch plate off. So you don't want to have strung up the guitar just to take the strings back off to fix any of these loose parts. It's also a great time to check if any of the tuning machines have come loose. So yep, check all your screws, all your stuff, and make sure everything is nice and tight before you start putting on any strings. Again, have a little container handy for any screws that you're going to take off, because you don't want to have to hold these and drop them all over the floor, and the Captain Monster has them. So little container, keep the screws in there, and that way you won't lose any. So now that I'm in here, I've got this off, you want to grab it at the back and then use, what's this, 7/16 socket, and just, you're holding the bit at the back, tighten this up, righty tighty. Hold it at the back so it doesn't move, otherwise if you don't hold it at the back it will just keep turning and you'll snap off your wires in the back, and that will just cause you more problems. So make sure you hold it nice, get it tight so it's not moving, and then screw it back on. And if it should ever come loose again, just do the same process again. This will be the first time I've had this pickguard off since I routed out the hose for the new pickup, so I don't know what's underneath here. Can't remember. There we go. A little bit of sawdust. And the thing that I'll need to do, and I might video myself doing this, is the black here is conductive shielding paint, but the new hole routs I made didn't have those shielding on them, so I might go back in and complete the shielding, although I'm not getting very much buzz off this guitar, very much ground hum, but I suppose painting some conductive paint on there might actually improve things, so I'll do that before I put this pickguard back on. So here are my controls, all here, and this one here, this little switch, is the kill switch. So I just need to find a socket button for my socket set that will fit that, and then I'll just tighten it up. Hold it at the back and tighten it up. And there we go. That should be it tight, it shouldn't move for another good while. Happy days, happy days. So what I've got now is an old painting shirt on, and this is some guitar shielding conductive paint, and I've got it inside a big tub so that I don't spill any. So I'm going to take an old screwdriver for mixing it up, because it needs to be mixed up, and paintbrush I don't use for any of my artistry to paint into the spaces, and obviously get some stuff to wipe off any excess paint, because you're going to need that. So I'm going to crack this open and mix this up. Ooh, haha, strong smells. There's no need to buy drugs in this world, just take up a hobby, because whether it's model making or whatever, they always come across something that smells so good that you can just get high off of it. So yeah, don't do drugs, just take up model making. And you get to use all sorts of paints and glues and things that smell really nice. And this is where we'll start painting into the cavities. So just in case, taking the brush and applying a coat or two of this into the cavities that don't have the shielding on it. The physics behind this is that you can nullify any electric signals, electric fields, by enclosing them in a metal case. So guy who worked this out was Faraday, and he risked his life to prove this by standing inside a big metal ball and then having the electric ball hit by electricity, big lightning strikes, and he was fine. So it proved that as long as there is a metal case around something, that electricity can't get in or out. So you don't want any exterior electric fields affecting the signals from within the guitar. So if you cover all the electronics inside the guitar with a metal shield, then nothing will interfere and you won't get that annoying ground hum. This wasn't the neatest routing job in the world, but it was my first routing job, so give me a break. So while I'm waiting for that to properly dry, I'll show you how to clean the fretboard properly. Now this fretboard is rosewood and the one on the Warbeast was ebony, so it's perfectly fine to use lemon oil to clean these fretboards. If you have a maple fretboard you can't use lemon oil, but for rosewood and ebony you certainly can. And the reason I want to do this with the lemon oil is to get any dirt and any grime that's encrusted or soaked into the pores of this wood and clean it out, so that you've got a brand new feeling clean fingerboard underneath your brand new clean strings. There is no point putting clean strings on top of a dirty fingerboard. That would be silly. Spray a little bit lemon oil onto the cloth, and then you want to rub it into all the frets. So look at this. It's best to work this sort of direction instead of going like that, just so you can get the maximum coverage of the frets. So just get it all in. There should be a good squirt of this, should get you right up to the top of the fingerboard. If not, use a little bit more. So just leave the lemon oil sitting on it for a couple of seconds and then come back with a dry bit of your cloth and wipe it all back off again. Just before I screw this pickguard back down, I'm just going to make sure that all the wiring is correct and present after putting in that shielding paint. I've not touched anything that's made it short circuit. So easy way to do this before the strings are on. Take a screwdriver, select your pickup selection, then plug it into an amp and touch. And that big pop means that that pickup is active. Obviously the switch there, these ones won't do that, but if you change the position, you get that one. Where has the problems? So there's that connection problem. So I'm going to go inside and make sure that nothing is touching. It'll be on that switch. So just put a bit of tape across that. Just a piece of black electrician's tape. And that's better. Right, that one's good. Put the screws back in and get ready to string it. So one thing that gives you stable tuning is making sure that the string can slide easily over the saddles on the bridge and over the slots in the top nut. And what you'll find is that sometimes on the saddles, the strings, especially the wound strings, will bite into the saddle and create little notches where the winds were. This makes the string catch, so when you bend the string, it'll catch and maybe not go back to the correct pitch. So it's best to take a small needle file and very carefully just take out those little notches on there, just so they're smooth and the string can slide over properly. Once you've got those smooth, take a pencil. I've got this little narrow pencil here, and just put some graphite along here, because what graphite does is it's slippery and it'll help the strings to move freely across here. Same idea if you've got say a jacket with a stiff zip. If you rub pencil up and down it, the zip gets easier to move. The same process is happening here, so just the graphite will help it slip. You can get replacement graphite saddles, so the entire thing's made out of graphite for this exact same purpose, so it slips better. But I don't have those, I've just got these metal ones, so I'm just going to put some pencil on there. And the same thing up at the nut. You want to get as much of the carbon graphite from the pencil lead in there as possible, just because this is the one place where they're going to slide the most. So once we've got everything cleaned and the saddles and the nut prepared, I'm going to take a packet of Rotosound purples and we're going to string up this guitar. So a packet of Rotosound, you get 2 of the highest string, which is very, very handy because they're the ones that are most likely to snap when you're doing this process. Right, so in this case, this bridge, just the strings come in from the back, they don't go through the body, so it's quite easy to do. What I want to do is give the string a little bend at the top, so that when I get it through this hole, it should go through the saddle and up easier. There we go. It's through, drag it through to the ball end, hits the end of the tailpiece there. Just going to make my little bend at the top of the string here, make it really sharp, make it my hook, so that it can't pull back through. And we'll get our string winder again, and we'll start winding. Same again, make a little bend in the string, feed it through the back, get up through the saddle, come on, there we go. Put it right the way through till the ball end hits, and then up to the top, get it through its post, there we are. Find out how much slack it needs. So these strings are now in tune, and again the importance is to stretch them and retune them to make sure that they're going to stay in pitch when you bend strings, when you're playing hard on them, because they just need to settle in at the bridge and up on the tuners. And very importantly, once again, all this dangling on to the top, please clip it off. I will hate you forever if you don't. The intonation is slightly easier to fix on this guitar because all you need is a screwdriver and the screws on the end of here. Just pull the saddles backwards or forwards. Luckily the intonation is still set up fantastically on this one as it is, so I won't need to do any adjustments. Also, you can change the height of each string by using a little hex wrench and these 2 little posts here on each saddle, and I think the height's set up as well pretty good, so this guitar's fine. I'm just going to play it in and happy days.